Hello, and welcome to Benny's Alternate Universe. This is a show where we talk about what's going on in my tape collection. And I am really excited today because I'm going to be talking about an album that I love very much and I know pretty well, and I have some thoughts about it for a change. I feel like the first two episodes, or the last two episodes, were okay. But, it's tough to kick off the rust after 2 years not really doing any videos. I lost a lot of my teeth. I had to get my teeth pulled so I could get bridges, and it kind of changed the way I talk a little bit, so that's, whatever. But today we're talking about one of my favorite bands, the legendary New York innovators, accidental innovators, perhaps, of punk rock, the one and only that brought us Ramone. The Ramones, Pleasant Dreams, from 1981 or 2, I don't know. These liner notes are weak. Let's see, copyright 81, Sire Records. This album, first of all, this is one of my favorite Ramones albums. This really got me thinking this week because I got this on tape just about 2 weeks ago through eBay. And why is it that some groups, and I'm thinking particularly about the most loved group, the Beatles, are allowed to evolve and change their sound over the years, and they're still loved? Because, how do you go from, She Loves You, Yeah, 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 to like Abbey Roadside 2? And in the case of the Ramones, Pleasant Dreams, and what does this have to do with anything? This album is so great, but it's, a departure from the Ramones, the classic Ramones sound that you hear on, All the Stuff, Volume 1, which is the first two albums. But let's not forget, after that holy, quadrilogy of the first album, Leave Home, Rocket to Russia, and Road to Ruin, they did this one, End of the Century, which I think people have mixed feelings about, and it was produced by Phil Spector in 1980, and they were going for a hit. I like this album a lot, but this album, which was the follow-up to End of the Century, this is their now sixth album, Pleasant Dreams, I love. And I think this album has better songwriting, and I think the production by Graham Goldman of 10cc is actually better than Phil Spector's production. It's very radio ready. It's a really clean sound. It's the cleanest sound that they had ever had up to that point. And there's just so many great tunes. We just heard We Want the Airwaves, which starts the album on sort of a serious note, as serious as Ramones were at that point, which is not very, but it's about saving rock and roll. We Want the Airwaves. And but that's sort of a red herring, because this album is a lot of fun. Now we're on All's Quiet on the Eastern Front, which is a Dee Dee tune, I believe, and it's just the bounce to it is incredible. I love when Ramones are in this mid-tempo rocking thing, and the hooks on this album and the vocal melodies are so incredible. And as great as the early Ramones is, and as much as I love early Ramones, and a lot of you may know, I was in the Ramones tribute band, and just love Ramones. My daughter listens to Ramones, and I have like Ramones stuff around in my new man cave. Let's see, I got this kind of cool stuff like this. As great as it is, I don't know. Do we want 7 albums that sound like Glad to See You Go and Now I Want to Sniff Some Glue and stuff? I mean, it's great, but you had to go somewhere with it. And I think that as early on as Road to Ruin, they were trying to expand and get less, concentrated, pure raw power, rock and roll, punk rock. Like they started out and explore other lanes of rock and roll. So anyway, All Quiet on the Eastern Front, fantastic. And then the next song is The KKK Took My Baby Away, which is just classic, such an awesome Ramones song. I love the guitars that are coming up right here and the way they interact with the drums. And then the melody is so great and the lyric is so funny. And, it's Ramones. It's just a silly story about how literally the KKK took his baby away. It's not offensive in any way, even though it's about the KKK. It's just cheeky. And legend has it that the KKK is actually Johnny Ramone, who stole Joey Ramone's girlfriend at the time. And Joey, being the hopeless romantic, never recovered from that. But, if you know Ramones, you know KKK Took My Baby Away. I first heard this song on Ramones Mania, which was my first Ramones tape when I was really young, 12, 13 years old. And this song, KKK, was on there. Next up is a very great sort of like sugary sweet ballad, 50s style ballad. And the old time rock and roll melodies are here in spades. Not so much on We Want the Airwaves, but the whole rest of side one. Don't Go is, that classic like girl group ballad type thing that Joey does so well. And then after that, we got You Sound Like You're Sick is one of my favorite Ramones songs too. It's just, it just has a wonderful melody, and the chorus to me is very funny. You look like you're sick, you sound like you're sick too. Well, you sound like you're sick, you look like you're sick too. It's just great. It's so much fun, and really classic Ramones. And then finally, we got a little bit of funk and soul thrown into the mix on It's Not My Place in the 9 to 5 World. Another great song, and it's so relatable for those of us who are in that 9 to 5 lifestyle. It's just magic. Love it. Moving on to side 2, She's a Sensation, classic Ramones love song, and this is more in the old school style. This reminds me of like Oh, I Love Her So type jams of yore. Another one of my favorite Ramones tunes. She's a Sensation is great, but to me it's like a poor man's Oh, I Love Her So. But that's just me. But I guess that must be one of my favorite Ramones tunes too, because the next song, 7-Eleven, I think this is the start of a little bit of a lull that happens on side 2, because 7-Eleven is very corny, another like girl group ballad type thing, 60s pop ballad. But it's about how Joey met this girl at 7-Eleven, and those of us who dig deep in Ramones know that in Oh, I Love Her So, he met her at the Burger King, and I liked it better the first time I heard it. We follow that up with You Didn't Mean Anything to Me. This is probably the heaviest track on the album. It's not my favorite, but it's not bad either. And one thing about this album that I love and that I look for is that it has really great sequencing. So having that heavy moment following 7-Eleven, I think it's good mood shift. And after that, we have another great upbeat kind of mid-tempo pop number, Come On Now. It's just so much fun. And it's just a rallying cry to get out there and have fun. After that, This Business Is Killing Me, another heavier kind of track, and it's a good one too, even though it's in second to last position on the album. I like This Business Is Killing Me. Cool guitar in that, almost like surf style single string stuff happening, and you can hear all over this record too. You hear the little organs, the awesome backup vocals. Joey's voice sounds amazing. This is one of my favorite performances of his. And I guess it's been said that this was sort of like almost seen as a Joey solo record because it's so constructed with the instrumentation. Like, I know they have Marky at this point, who's a great drummer. The bass is pretty basic, but the guitar in particular, you're like, is that really Johnny on that guitar, or is that additional guitar? I don't know. I don't know how good of a player Johnny was or wasn't. We just know him for his buzzsaw power chord style that was so incredible and so much fun to play. And finally, Sitting in My Room is another upbeat number. It's about being a kid sitting in your room. They just want to worry. That's not what any kid should have to do. Maybe they should sniff some glue. To me, this is probably the best sounding Ramones record. I love this production. I love these songs. And I just think it's unfortunate that, people like REM can go from document to Automatic for the People, and they just get people falling over it. And Ramones, people say they sold out or they're not keeping it Ramone enough. And this album is great. This album is a great rock and roll album. Is it a great punk album? I don't know. Who cares? It's just fantastic. The cover art is absolutely dreadful. It's probably the worst Ramones album cover, at least the worst off the top of my head, because I would say Adios Amigos is better. The dinosaurs with the sombreros. What the hell is this cover all about? Was this supposed to be the Ramones' new mascot? The trench coat silhouette man? Was this before or after Operation Ivy, I wonder? They had a similar kind of terrible looking logo mascot dude. Thankfully this didn't catch on for Ramones. This album was recently reissued in a slightly different mix. I prefer the original mix. Big production really suits the Ramones. They're always have been creators of fantastic pop melodies. I wish this album had been the big breakthrough hit that they were hoping for, because I think it would have changed the landscape of rock and roll to some degree in America and the world. So, having said all that, Ramones' Pleasant Dreams. If you haven't heard it, you must. If you have heard it and you didn't like it, maybe listen a little more closely and hear the great tunes that are going on. This is the original Sire cassette. Cover art, bad. The insert, lame. What can you say? You can't give them any points for the cover. Sorry, Ramones, and I'm especially sorry who did the art on this. Who's the art director? It was a fail.